I want you to listen to this from beginning to end, because in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you 10 principles that quietly separate the people who build real wealth from the people who work hard their entire lives and stay exactly where they started. You will recognize some of these instantly. You will resist others, and I want you to pay the closest attention to the ones you resist, because resistance is usually where the truth is hiding. Before we get into the list, let's talk about why most people hear principles like these 100 times and still never apply them. It's not because the principles are complicated, they're not. A 10-year-old could understand every single one of them in a few minutes. The reason people never apply them is emotional, not intellectual. Applying them means giving something up right now: comfort, certainty, approval, an old identity in exchange for something that only shows up later, quietly, after years of consistency. Most people are wired to feel the discomfort in front of them more than the reward waiting down the road. These 10 principles are built to override that wiring. Let's begin. Principle number 1. Millionaires treat money as a tool, not an identity. Most people attach their self-worth to their bank balance. When it's low, they feel small. When it's high, they feel important. Millionaires cut that link early. To them, money is a tool for building, for solving problems, for creating options. It is never a scoreboard for their value as a human being. That single shift removes the emotional chaos that keeps most people making fear-based decisions with their money. Someone who has separated their worth from their wallet can lose a deal, absorb a bad month, or take a calculated risk without their entire identity collapsing with it. That steadiness alone is a massive advantage. Here's the part most people miss. When money is tied to identity, every financial decision becomes an emotional one. A bad month doesn't just cost money, it costs self-esteem. A good month doesn't just bring profit, it brings a fragile high that has to be protected. That creates a person who makes decisions to guard their feelings instead of decisions that build their future. The moment you separate the two, you gain a kind of clarity that people still trapped in that identity loop simply don't have. Principle number 2. They solve problems before they chase paychecks. The person working for wages asks, "How do I get paid more for my time?" The person building wealth asks, "What problem, solved at scale, would people pay generously for?" Time has a ceiling. A problem solved for thousands of people does not. That's the quiet line between income and wealth. Every fortune you can name was built by someone obsessed with a problem long before they were obsessed with a paycheck. The money was always the byproduct, never the starting point. This is also why so many talented, hard-working people plateau. They're excellent at their craft, but they never make the shift from "how do I get paid for my skill" to "what problem can my skill solve for many people at once?" The skill was never the limit, the framing around it was. Principle number 3. They protect their attention like it's the asset it actually is. Every millionaire I've studied treats attention as more valuable than money because attention, once spent, never comes back, while money, used correctly, multiplies. They're ruthless about what earns access to their focus. Distraction isn't neutral to them, it's a cost, paid in opportunities they never even noticed. Think about how many hours the average person spends every week on content that won't matter in a month. Now imagine redirecting even a fraction of that time into building something. That math alone explains why some people compound and others just consume. There's a quiet discipline behind this that looks almost boring from the outside. It's not extreme productivity hacks or waking up at 4 in the morning. It's a simple, repeated question all day long. Is this earning my attention or just consuming it? Most distractions fail that question the second you actually stop to ask it. Principle number 4. They make decisions fast and change them slowly. Indecision is one of the most expensive habits a person can have because while you're deliberating, the opportunity is already walking out the door to someone else. Millionaires gather enough information to feel reasonably confident, then they decide. They're not reckless, they've just refused to let perfectionism dress up as procrastination. And once the decision is made, they don't abandon it at the first sign of friction. They give it a real chance before deciding whether it was the wrong move or simply an uncomfortable right one. This is a skill, not a personality trait, which means you can build it. It starts small, deciding what to order without scrolling the whole menu, choosing a plan without collecting 12 outside opinions first. The muscle you build in those small daily decisions is the same muscle you'll need the day a much bigger decision with real financial weight demands an answer faster than feels comfortable. Principle number 5. They spend on assets and question every liability. This sounds obvious, and almost nobody actually applies it. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes it out, no matter how good it looks sitting in your driveway. Before every major purchase, the wealth-minded ask one quiet question. Does this move me toward freedom or away from it? Most purchases fail that question. That's exactly why most people never build anything that lasts. This isn't about deprivation. It's about knowing which category every dollar falls into, instead of drifting through their spending on autopilot. There's a nuance here that gets lost. Plenty of wealthy people enjoy nice things. The difference is sequence. They build the asset base first, and the enjoyment follows from a position of strength, instead of borrowing against a future that isn't built yet, just to look successful today. Principle number 6. They treat failure as tuition, not a verdict. Every person who's built real wealth has a graveyard of failed attempts behind them that the public never sees. The difference isn't that they failed less, it's that they refused to let one failure become the last chapter of the story. They took the lesson, adjusted, and went again, smarter the second time because the first failure paid for that wisdom. Study the early years of almost anyone wealthy, and you'll find a string of quiet, embarrassing losses that never made the highlight reel. The highlight reel only starts once the lessons were already paid for. What separates people here isn't dramatic, cinematic resilience. It's something quieter, the willingness to sit with a failure long enough to actually extract the lesson, instead of rushing past the discomfort. Most people either collapse into the failure or sprint away from it so fast they never learn a thing. The wealth-minded do neither. They slow down, they look at it, and then they move. Principle number 7. They build systems, not just effort. Hard work has a ceiling. There are only so many hours in a day. Wealth-minded people learn this early, and instead of just working harder, they build systems, processes, teams, investments, assets that keep producing whether they personally show up that day or not. Effort earns a paycheck. Systems earn freedom. This is often the hardest principle to apply because building a system takes longer and feels less productive in the short term than just doing the task yourself. But effort that depends entirely on you has a ceiling built into it from day one. This principle takes a kind of patience that goes against instinct. In the short term, doing it yourself is almost always faster, but long-term speed and long-term freedom are two different goals, and confusing them is one of the most common reasons hardworking people never actually build wealth. They just get extremely efficient at staying busy. Principle number 8. They negotiate with data, not desperation. Whether it's a business deal, a salary, or an investment, millionaires walk into negotiations from a position of preparation, not need. They've done the research, they know their numbers, and they're willing to walk away. Because desperation is visible, and desperation always costs you leverage. The person who needs the deal the least usually gets the best terms. This is why financial cushion matters beyond comfort. It buys you the ability to say no. And the ability to say no is where real negotiating power actually lives. Preparation here means something specific, knowing your numbers cold, what you actually need, what the alternatives genuinely cost, what walking away actually looks like before you ever sit down at the table. Most people negotiate from hope. The wealth-minded negotiate from information, and information is what lets calm replace anxiety in a room where anxiety usually costs money. Principle number 9. They protect their standards even when it's socially uncomfortable. This might be the most overlooked principle on this list. Wealth-minded people are willing to disappoint people in the short term to stay aligned with their long-term standards, turning down a tempting bad deal, ending a partnership that no longer serves the mission, saying no to family or friends who want to borrow against their future. It makes them unpopular in certain rooms. It also makes them wealthy in every room that matters. The discomfort of disappointing someone today is almost always smaller than the cost of years spent compromising your standards to keep everyone else comfortable. This principle sounds harsh out of context, But it isn't about becoming cold. It's about recognizing that chronic people-pleasing with your finances and your time is a form of self-neglect dressed up as generosity. Real generosity comes easiest from a position of strength, not depletion. Principle number 10. They think in decades while most people think in weeks. This is the principle that quietly explains almost everything else on this list. Most decisions get made based on how they feel this week. Millionaires ask a different question. How will this decision look in 10 years? A small, boring, consistent action repeated for a decade will outperform almost any dramatic short-term move, nearly every single time. Patience, applied with precision, is one of the most underrated wealth-building tools that exists. It doesn't photograph well, it doesn't make for an exciting story, but it's the one principle every other principle on this list quietly depends on to actually compound. Now let's talk about what this looks like across time, because a list of principles without a timeline can feel abstract. In year 1, almost nothing visible happens. You make better decisions, you protect your attention, you build small systems, and from the outside, your life looks nearly identical to how it looked before. This is the year most people quit because the gap between effort and visible reward feels enormous. By year 3, something shifts. The systems you built in year 1 start producing without your constant input. The standards you protected have quietly filtered out relationships and opportunities that would have drained you. The decisions made from data instead of desperation have compounded into a track record that starts opening doors that weren't open before. By years 7 to 10, the results become hard to explain to anyone who only saw the last few months. They'll call it luck, or timing, or a lucky break, because they never saw the 1,000 small decisions in year 1 that quietly made the results in year 10 possible. This is the part of wealth building that never makes the highlight reel because it isn't dramatic enough. It's just quiet, repeated correctness compounding in the dark. Now let's talk about the trap that catches most people who hear a list like this. I call it the trap of almost. Almost applying a principle, almost changing the habit, almost starting the system. Almost is the most expensive word in the wealth-building vocabulary because it feels like progress while producing none of the results. You can almost your way through an entire decade and land in the exact same place you started, just older and more discouraged. The way out of the trap is embarrassingly simple, which is exactly why most people skip past it. Pick one principle, not all 10, one. Apply it in a small, specific, measurable way this week, not eventually, this week. Let the evidence of that one small win build the belief that makes principle 2 possible, then 3, until eventually you're not following a list anymore. You're simply the kind of person these principles describe. Before we close, let's kill 3 myths that keep good people from ever starting, because at this point, they matter more than an 11th principle would. The first myth is that you need a large sum of capital to begin building wealth. In reality, almost every one of these 10 principles can be applied with $0 in the bank. Protecting your attention costs nothing. Making faster decisions costs nothing. Treating failure as tuition costs nothing. Capital accelerates the process, it does not start it. The second myth is that wealth building requires a personality transplant, that you have to become colder, harder, less like yourself. That's not true. Every principle on this list can be applied by a kind person, a quiet person, someone who still deeply values relationships and community. What changes isn't your character, it's your standards around how your time, attention, and money get spent. The third myth is that it's too late to start. This one is the most damaging because it convinces capable people to never begin at all. 10 years from now is coming regardless of what you decide today. The only real question these principles ask is whether you'll arrive at that future having applied them or having spent another decade waiting for a better moment that was never going to announce itself. Here's what I want you to understand about these 10 principles together, because individually they're useful, but combined, they become something bigger. They become an identity. You don't adopt these principles by memorizing them. You adopt them by practicing them until they stop being rules you follow and start being who you naturally are. The first few times you apply Principle 5 and skip a purchase that would have felt good in the moment, it will feel like discipline. Eventually, it won't feel like anything at all. It will simply be how you operate. This is the part almost nobody tells you about wealth building. It's not one big decision made once. It's 10 small decisions repeated for years, compounding quietly while nobody's watching, until one day the results become impossible to ignore. Most people will hear these 10 principles, nod, and go back to living exactly how they lived yesterday. That's not a criticism. It's simply the pattern that keeps most people exactly where they are for decades. Understanding a principle and living by a principle are two completely different things, and only one of them changes your life. So here's what I'll leave you with. You don't need all 10 principles mastered today. You need one, the one that made you the most uncomfortable while you were listening. That discomfort is pointing you directly at the gap between where you are and where you could be. Pick that one. Apply it this week, not perfectly, just consistently, and let the compounding begin. Say this with me before you go. I do not chase money. I build value, and money follows. I do not wait for permission to think like the people I admire. I study their principles, and I apply them until they become mine. I think in decades. I protect my standards. I am building wealth on purpose. And so it is.